This is Roy. Roy is freaking awesome. He's just so epic with his fire sword. I mean, I've been a fan of his since I was just a fetus. I mean, he's been in 2 Smash games and he's just such an awesome character. This is Roy's game. Has it held up as well as Roy has? Well, we're about to find out on this Fire Emblem month review of Fire Emblem and the Binding Blade. Here we go. Fire Emblem and the Binding Blade. The first game in the Fire Emblem series for a long time. It had to be good, and it kind of was. And it changed up so many features of Fire Emblem and how it looked overall, and just made it better in some aspects and kind of worse in other aspects. So Fire Emblem and the Binding Blade is sadly not available in America. I had to use a ROM hack, and I also bought a legit translation cartridge so that it was legal. So guys, if you want that, I have a link in the description below. Anyways, Fire Emblem the Binding Blade is Roy's game. We all know I have a slight Roy bias. Yes! Yes! It's Roy's theme too! Oh, it seals the... Yes! And because of that, I am trying to set all my biasness aside overall for this review. Anyways guys, here we go. It has been 10 centuries since the end of the war, known as the Scouring. The continent is by and large at peace. However, this peace will soon end when Byrne suddenly invades Sakai and Ilia and swiftly takes control of the 2 countries. They turn towards the small country of Lycia. Roy, the prince of a district of Lycia, is studying in Ostia when all of a sudden he is called back home to lead his father's army against this evil threat. Why did Byrne invade these 2 countries? Why is it invading Lycia? Only time can tell. The story in Binding Blade is really simple at first. You know, it's a kingdom invading another kingdom, Fire Emblem standard staple. But anyone who's played a Fire Emblem game knows that there is always more going on. And eventually you find out so much stuff that's happening with the leader of the enemy army and the generals of the enemy army, and it just blows your mind that it's not just military. You're not dealing with myth and magic and creatures of all shapes and sizes. And the only way to defeat them all is with the Sword of Seals. It's a great story, starts off simple for those of us who are new to the game. Like, at first when I was playing this game, I was like, oh, this is gonna be an easy game because it's a simple story. Nope! It is not that simple. And they convey to you how deadly war is. I mean, they kill off quite a few people in the story. They're not afraid to show you. You have to try your best to keep peace going. And I really like that about this game. I feel like recent games haven't done that as much, but this game does. And it's really awesome when you win this game. You realize how much of an impact you've made on the world. Fire Emblem Binding Blade laid the groundwork for the modern Fire Emblem games aesthetically and gameplay-wise. This game is portable, therefore the dev team couldn't put every feature the series had seen before into this entry in the series, so features like marriage and children did not make it into the game. But what this game excels at is keeping the formula simplistic, yet not dumbed down. So it got rid of all the convoluted features that were kind of stupid, such as having to calculate yourself, which wasn't that hard, but it was just so annoying and tedious to calculate every single attribute that goes into a fight. This game did it for you, and it would tell you when you would strike twice. A nice thing that just progressed the series beautifully. This game was so innovative in its own right, sort of how the SNES controller laid the groundwork for controllers, all controllers after it, yet innovated a whole lot by adding triggers, but it didn't change up everything completely. That's what Binding Blade did. And for those of you that don't know, Fire Emblem is a tactical turn-based strategy game, where its gameplay consists of you moving small numbers of soldiers strategically to fight against an enemy battalion, but with adding in things like mages, dragons, dragon riders, Pegasus knights, a slew of different classes and characters. The gameplay just had so many discoveries to be found. And what Fire Emblem does is it makes you think, it makes you use strategy. And the best thing about Fire Emblem is if your unit dies, he's gone. You're not going to see him forever. So every move really does count. And it's just such an awesome, stressful, strategic game that really challenges your mind, but it's so much fun. But Binding Blade did strip away some features, such as marriage and children, which I really enjoyed in the last game, so that kind of annoyed me. But the weapon triangle was fixed. Like last time around, it was not that great, but it's fixed this time. It's the weapon triangle we know and love today for now, but it's still an awesome game. But yeah, it did kind of strip away some features, so we kind of need to acknowledge that that happened. Fire Emblem the Binding Blade, if you notice, looks very similar to Fire Emblem Rekken no Ken, Sacred Stones, Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, and even Awakening. Why is that? Well, you see, Fire Emblem before this was very basic in its presentation. You see, there wasn't much detail here, wasn't much detail there, but Binding Blade added very great things to its presentation to make it its own identity and give it its own style and its own uniqueness. That's what I love about the presentation in this game. It laid down, like I said earlier, the groundwork for all Fire Emblem games to follow. Even though they're changing it up to this day, it's still the basic, these are the bones of what Fire Emblem is now. It's awesome to see that this game inspired it to look like this nowadays. And I really liked what they went with, how it's blue when you select the unit, where it shows you where you can move and all that, whereas in the original Fire Emblem games it just showed the outline, it didn't show everything you could do. And then also, just the art style of Western meets Eastern combined in one game is just amazing. And if you ask me, this game pulls it off greatly. The only game to pull it off better was probably Awakening, and that was because of modern technology. So a Game Boy game from 2002 holding up to this day is really good. That's really awesome. And if you look at the character animations, you notice they're much more detailed than previous games in the Fire Emblem series. Magic has much better animations. You can now see critical hits have their own special animation for each different character. And the animations just look so silky smooth. And the game overall just looks really clean, polished, and amazing. Overall, Fire Emblem and the Binding Blade is a really good Fire Emblem game. I went into this expecting it to be the most bare-bones game of them all. But in all honesty, for every feature that it took away, it added 3 more. And aesthetically and gameplay-wise, laid the groundwork for every Fire Emblem game ahead of it, with presentation and gameplay style that is used to this day in Fire Emblem games. That's pretty amazing. And that is why Fire Emblem and the Binding Blade gets 9 out of 10. The game itself is just a really fun, great story. You guys have to play it for the story. And if you guys want to play this game but you don't speak Japanese, I have a ROM link in the description below, but be sure to actually buy the Japanese cartridge or translation cartridge, which is what I did, to show your support for the game. See, I'm hoping that it's going to come to Virtual Console, and I'm actually going to hold my breath on this.
One eternity later.
At least we got Mother 3. Anyways guys, I hope you're enjoying Fire Emblem thus far, and if you aren't caught up with all the videos, there's a playlist right here. Click on the annotation to go there. And also be sure to be here this Wednesday, where I give my 5 reasons I'm hyped for Fire Emblem Fates. I'll see you all later, have a great day, be sure to subscribe, and goodbye.